A little background story for setup. I was widowed a little over a year ago. My husband had a substantial life insurance policy, as well as this successful business that I had recently sold. I have no financial issues. I can raise my daughter without worry. My older brother proposed to his girlfriend back in January. She's nice and seems to love my brother. We had no issues in the past. Well, COVID hit, so we haven't done family get-togethers or anything. Their wedding planning was being put on hold until recently. Our state was slowly starting to reopen. No one has been sick, weather's been good, so my dad and stepmom decided to have a family dinner on top of their outdoor patio to discuss my brother's wedding. With my future sister-in-law's parents in attendance, so they could all get on the same page. I tried to dip out because wedding planning is not my thing. I eloped, but was told my presence was requested by future sister-in-law. My stepmom said she thought I was going to be asked to be a bridesmaid, which would have been a no, but that's beside the point. Dinner was uneventful, but afterwards, my future sister-in-law pulls out a 3-ring binder and starts handing out information packets about her wedding. When and where she wanted it, pictures of dresses she was considering, colors, ideas for catering, pictures of cakes, everything a well-prepared bride could come up with. My favorite page was list of expenses, how much she expected everyone to contribute. Her dad, her mom, stepdad, my dad, stepmom, brother's mom, and me. I said, quote, exact words. "You expect me to contribute? That's hilarious." I was met with a stern gaze from my brother. "Oh my gosh, you're serious? Yeah, that's not happening." Cue the meltdown from the bride-to-be. Her dad speaks up and tells her that she was already told that combined between him and her mom and stepdad, she would be given $70,000 to do what she wanted, just like they did for her sister. She started crying. My dad chimes in and says, "Yeah, between the 3 of us, we will pay for a nice rehearsal dinner for 30 people and an open beer and wine bar at the reception. That's it." She started screaming, like holding her hands over her ears and screaming, "Why is everyone trying to ruin my life?" So I said, this is where I leave. She stands up and comes to get me and gets in my face, telling me it's all my fault, I have money, so I should be willing to spend it on her, because she's going to be, quote, family. I just laughed, looked at my brother and said, good luck with that, bro, and walked out. My future sister-in-law blew my phone up for 2 days, calling me names and telling me how awful I am. I haven't talked to my brother, but my dad said the wedding planning has been put on hold while she reevaluates whether she wants to marry into a selfish family. Laugh out loud? I know in my heart I'm not the a-hole, but a friend seems to think I should contribute just to keep the peace, which I don't really care about at this point, and my dad and stepmom agree with me. My other siblings do too, but they're trying to stay out of it. Quick little edit here. Because people keep asking on top of the $70,000 her parents are willing to contribute, she wanted $50,000 from my dad and brother's mom and $30,000 from me. Yes, $150,000 for a wedding. Also, I think she originally asked her parents for $80K. My stepmom says she has some things to tell me either tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever we can catch up, so if there's something to update, I definitely will. Update. Let me start by saying that I truly appreciate everyone who took the time to comment. So, my stepmom wanted to talk to me and she and I had a chat yesterday. The first thing she said was that my brother wanted to get together and talk this out, which we did today. More on that later. My stepmom told me that she and my dad had seen future sister-in-law act like a brat a few times towards my brother, but never anything like that night at dinner. My dad told my brother that what happened was completely ridiculous, and both he and her owed me major apologies. He also let my brother know that he now has apprehensions about my brother getting married to her, and he wanted my brother to really think about what he wanted, and that if he decided to marry her anyways, he doesn't know how much of our family could attend. My dad did apologize to me if I felt like he did not defend me to her. He just said that he was so shocked about what went on, he couldn't even react. My dad and I are fine. As for my brother, it's sort of uneventful. We met for lunch at my dad's house today. When I walked in, he tried to hug me, but I wasn't having it. He did apologize, sincerely I believe. He told me that he knew about all the wedding stuff she had prepared, but not the expense sheet, and that he had told her weeks ago what his parents were willing to pay for, and that she could not ask me for money. When I started laughing, he knew that she did not listen to him, and he was mad, but did not want to cause a scene in front of everyone. He went on to say that when they left, he blew up on her, and she told him that she could not believe that he was okay with his family being so selfish. And it escalated from there with her packing a bag and going to a hotel because her parents said she couldn't go to their house. I asked him where they stood, and he just shrugged. I guess if he still wanted to marry her, but before he answered, I said I didn't care. It was his life, and he could do what he wanted, but I, and my daughter, whom he adores, would absolutely not be there. And if he did marry her, that our relationship would be changed forever. I would never ask to my dad to choose between us, and that I am perfectly capable of being civil to him at family events, but that was it. I did hug him when he left and told him that I hope this is all the outcome he can live with. And I may actually be the a-hole now, but I really don't care. I'm okay with how it ended. I don't want an apology from her. She means nothing to me now. I feel like this is over and I can let it go. Thanks guys for the input. About 4 years ago, a large rendering plant purchased a factory in our small town in Iowa that's been causing all kinds of terrible odors ever since. We're talking rotten blood, dead animal, old beer fumes hanging in the air multiple days of the week for years. The smells are particularly nasty on warm and humid summer days. After living directly across the street from the plant, I decided to use my skills as a developer to create a website criticizing the government of our town and the city council specifically for taking no action and letting the factory pollute our town. At the bottom of the website in the footer, I left a blurb that says, quote, "Money Town is still being polluted as a money current _ date." After a couple years of the site being up with little attention, I get a sudden spike of traffic, around 2,000 visitors over a few days. And we finally start hearing from the city that they'll be taking action. First, the city council holds a town hall and asks everybody for complaints regarding the rendering plants and smells. They also print the name and phone number of the city attorney and ask callers to forward their complaints there. After that, they began issuing fines to the plant, which they disregard as far as I'm aware and never pay. Eventually, the city sues the rendering plant, and the rendering plant countersues. I've updated my website after each development takes place. The last piece of news to come out was this whole situation was that each side had decided to drop their lawsuit around July 2017, but with no agreement about the odor. I did not update the website to mention that the lawsuit had been dropped. It slipped my mind after reading it. The domain name is along the lines of townnameagoodplacetolive.com. And the first thing you see on the site is a big yellow block with a huge text saying, "Not yet." It used to say no before the city started fining the rendering plant. Everything's been quiet for months now regarding the website and the odor. While the city dropped their lawsuit and I still consider the issue unresolved, the smelly days only spring up once or twice a month now. However, this afternoon, I received a letter from a law firm representing the city. It contained screenshots of my website, and the screenshots of the GitHub repository proving that I'm the owner. The gist of the letter says, quote, "Our firm represents the city of this town. You're the author and the domain name owner of this domain we've attached for proof. You were understandably frustrated by the issues of the rendering plant, which have been alleviated through litigation. However, you have not modified your website despite the progress made. In fact, you re-registered the domain name in 2017 rather than take it down." I had the domain name set to auto-renew, by the way. To make matters worse, the website contains a recital that the town is still being polluted as one of the dates someone views the website. This leaves the impression that the information on the site is current. I am reliably informed that the clinic lost a physician prospect who read your website. At present, the website labels the city of town, interferes with recruitment of businesses and new residents, and negatively affects property values. That interference is likely your intention since you took the time to re-register the domain name. I am writing to ask you to take down your site and not to replace it with other derogatory material. If the website's not taken down within 10 days, your next notice will be in the form of a lawsuit. I'm inclined to disregard this letter as my admittedly naive understanding of law say the First Amendment to the United States Constitution was created so citizens can criticize the government without fear of retribution. However, I realize there's a difference between federal, state, and municipal governments, and I'll be the first to admit there's a little bit of pride and defiance clouding my judgment too. Nobody's being disparaged on the website except for the city council as a whole. The only person's name mentioned is the name of the city attorney, and their phone numbers encouraging citizens to call and voice their complaints about the smells. The attorney and their phone number were being printed in a local newspaper, asking readers to do the same. I do mention the name of the rendering plant with a picture of their factory, but the letter I received is from attorneys representing the city, not the business. I've scheduled a consultation with a lawyer, but is it a good idea to leave this site up and risk a lawsuit? Quick edit before the update. I saw the lawyer this morning who agreed that it seems like this would be violating my First Amendment rights, and it's not even possible to defame a city. However, he was unable to take the case as he's a real estate lawyer, which I knew going in, but my choice for law offices in town was the one I saw this morning or the one that sent the letter yesterday. He did give me 4 recommendations for lawyers outside of town, and specifically outside of my town's sphere of influence. I've got an appointment with one of those lawyers on Tuesday, and I've also contacted the ACLU location in Iowa, as a few others suggested. All in all, I'm feeling pretty confident that this little letter is just an attempt to scare me into taking the website down, though I worry that I'm slowly running out of 10 days that they've given me to comply. Update. Well, a few months ago, I posted here asking for advice after the city council of the town I live in sent a letter demanding that I take down a website critical to them, or else they'd sue me. Most of the comments I received confirmed that, yes, this was violating my First Amendment rights, and yes, I should seek a lawyer. So I did so. I set up a meeting with one of the 2 law firms here in town. The other law firm is the one that sent the letter, and he agreed with everybody else that's been telling me. However, he declined to represent me as he's largely a real estate attorney also, and recommended I speak with someone outside the city's little sphere of influence. Skipping over unnecessary details, I met with the other lawyer, but wasn't able to afford representation at the time. I updated my website to be more fair to the city itself, but risked leaving in a few barbs towards the city council and the lawyers representing them. Borrowing a few of your comments about squander taxpayer money on spurious advice and pointless legal services. Once I updated the website and the city realized I wasn't going to take it down, a different attorney from the city's law firm contacted me and wanted to chat for coffee. I went, although now I realize I probably should not have done so. He was very friendly, telling me he thinks the whole situation has been handled badly. But he made it clear that he thought I should take down the website because it was hurting the town and, quote, "We both want what's best for it." He also told me there was a reporter from a newspaper calling around trying to get in touch with me, and he did not think I should talk to them. Again, because it would damage the town. I declined the interview because I was afraid I'd get sued, whether justified or not, if I said something the city just didn't like. Of course, I was too naive to realize that the city themselves would have no problem talking to the reporter. So she ran her story. I was made out to be the bad guy troublemaker by the city officials she interviewed. What's more, a city councilman, the mayor, and the city administrator all denied sending a letter to me. They were also quoted as saying this: "There may be legal stuff coming down the road." A few weeks later, I received another letter from the law firm, and this one was weird. It was the attorney from the original letter writing on his own time to explain all the reasons he thinks he can sue me, citing several Iowa judicial cases and going on and on about disparaging property. He told me I was making a stupid argument and attributing unfounded legal arguments to him. The letter ended by saying it wasn't a threat of litigation and not intended to deter me from my exercising my legal right. Well, this was around middle of January 2018. I received the first letter mid-December 2017. Everything was quiet once again for 2 more weeks, until I got an email from the legal director at the ACLU of Iowa. And one of the advice I read on here, I had emailed both the ACLU and the EFF. But over a month with no response, I figured they were just too busy to look at my case. I was very happy when she contacted me and wanted to talk. I spoke with the director, and long story short, she thought what the city was doing to me was an egregious violation of my civil rights, and the ACLU of Iowa wanted to represent me in a lawsuit against the city. Towards the end of February, we filed suit in federal court, and by March 29th, we settled the case after the city agreed to these 5 terms. Number 1, they had to agree to a permanent injunction where they can't threaten to sue me or actually sue me for any website or content I produce regarding the town. Number 2, they must pay legal damages to me. Number 3, they must pay attorney fees to the ACLU. Number 4, they must write an apology letter to me. And number 5, my favorite part, the city staff and its attorneys must take First Amendment training. All in all, I'm incredibly impressed with the ACLU's work on this case. I know it's not typical to file a lawsuit and win a month later, but I think it just shows how blatant their attempt to censor me were. I'm super grateful to the ACLU for helping me with this, because, as I said above, I wouldn't have been able to afford an attorney and the city would have gotten away with their threat.